Hey, how are you, family? Welcome back to my channel, the channel where it's finally time to draw the line between the definition of a Yankee, or delinquent, and a Gyaru, or gal. Now, in today's Me Rindo, I'm going to be discussing the differences between these two character tropes, or these two, of course, types of, culture or person, you could say. And that is because in a lot of discussions or conversations that I have with my friends, and I guess posts that I've seen online, some people do not actually know a pretty a clear distinction, or some people don't really get yet, so to speak, the proper difference between a Yankee and a Gyaru. And in their essence, they're almost the same. Almost, right? I say almost because there are some aspects of them that it, as a character trope in anime, yeah, it does play out like that, but completely different types of character tropes to follow. So yeah, we're going to be discussing how they are different. And I'm gonna be starting with a Yankee, Japanese delinquent. The Japanese for delinquent, I mean, or according to this definition that I find in Takashi's Japanese dictionary. Japanese Yankee means loutish youths. I've never heard that word in my life before. Loutish. You learn something new every day. So usually at the age between 13 and 18, you may think of them as Japanese counterpart, or a chav or yob in the UK. I don't know what those two terms means either. First time reading this article, see the word chav, I thought it meant Chad. Yob, I really don't know what that means, but I'm just gonna imagine it as similar to that of a delinquent, right? Cool guy, not cool kids, the punks, troublemakers, so to speak. Basically they are often seen in rural areas of Japan, such as Ibaraki or Okinawa Prefecture, rather than in big cities like Tokyo. Tokyo Revengers. They are typified by their loutish behavior and unique appearance, including dyed blonde hair and modified school uniforms or long jackets, which are embroidered with kanji characters of their group names and or mottos. And they have a penchant for provoking or intimidating others for no reason, which is kind of it's kind of an asshole move right there, sure. And some of them extort money from their kohai, younger students in the same school. The extortion done by Yankee or gangsters is called katsuage in Japanese. So pretty scary stuff, but we all know, I don't know, in anime, at least in anime, it's just it's just fiction, but the way that these sort of animes play with the delinquent theme in their narrative, it is kind of exciting to see as well. Like just what Tokyo Revengers have shown to us, right? It has a pretty good story, and it's interesting to see how this all fits into itself. But what I'm going to be talking strictly today is the sort of waifu character trope of a Yankee or delinquent, right? Now let's go to the definition of a gal or Gyaru, and this is sourced from an article from yabai.com. So, in native Japanese language, the word Gyaru actually means girl. To say Gyaru, girl, would be extremely synonymous to saying girl, which is, redundant, but hey. However, since Gyaru is often associated with the girls, the Japanese became used to saying Gyaru girl. The Gyaru phenomenon, in short, is a form of cultural grouping used to define girls that fit the specific definition. An alternative definition of girl would be a gal, which is a word used to describe a girl who's very cool and trendy, right? And so far, this is a pretty solid definition of a gal, and pretty fits the bill to see this definition play out as well in a lot of anime character tropes, anime character waifus who are in the theme of a gal. Gyaru girl is used for defining a certain part of the Japanese population who fits the description of being Gyaru. Now, generally, the description of a Gyaru girl is someone who has a loud clothing, quote-unquote loud clothing that looks sexy, and a matching loud personality. You could call them sociable or extroverted, but loud is I guess so. Gyaru girls are usually blonde, which is interesting because as Gyarus, Gyaru girls are considered to be a counterpart of America's ditzy blonde stereotype, or sometimes the Valley girls. I don't know what that is referring to, but I do understand um, Ameri- the American blonde stereotype of image. Right? What? Essentially, they're just trendy girls, or girls who love to follow the trends. I'll leave it up to you to really define what they, what they are. But that's, I guess that's about the baseline for what I can say is a Gyaru. There's many ways to go about it, of course, in different sorts of characters or personas that can be included into this description. But it still stays consistent to the fact that they are, trendy, so to speak. Now, in a lot of Japanese works, mangas, animes, light novels, and the like, I'm really glad that there are a lot of new works that revolve around Yankees or Gyarus, and to list some here are two mangas in which these heroines are a Yankee. You have Yankee J.K. Kuzuhana and Please Go Home Akutsu-san, in which I really recommend. It's majestic. I've fallen deep into the Yankee supremacy, the delinquent supremacy for a long time. Ever since I read Please Go Home Akutsu-san. I'll leave a link down in the description below to check out those videos about my thoughts on it. But overall, it's such a refreshing. The Yankee waifu trope is such a refreshing take to a Yankee, and their dynamic with the main protagonist, the different sorts of gap movies you can see within a Yankee character trope. It's majestic, Same goes for the gal as well. And you have here, for instance, you have here this manga, Yancha Gal no Anjo-san, in which it's this manga is really good. I'm gonna make a puppet on this soon, but if you haven't checked it out, I suggest you do if you're really into gals and the like. And then you have here the latest hot trend, I suppose. Yeah, hot trend. My Dress Up Darling. Gals. Now, with that being said, I feel like I really need to, just give my own perspective to really lay down the differences between the two. Now, as I've said, there is a clear distinction, but, I don't know why some people, not all, some, would have, difficulties, right? Difficulties. Now, I've made here a comparison type of slide, right, to show the different tropes with a Yankee delinquent and a Gyaru or gal. Now, mind you, I say tropes and not characteristics because, I don't know, I guess you could call it characteristics in a way, but I say tropes because I'm only referring to the Japanese, to the waifus in Japanese mangas, light novels, animes, and the like, just referring to that in that fictional sense. Of course, in real life, these tropes or characteristics, some of them can be similar, but really at the end of the day, it's completely different, right? It's completely different. Reality and fiction are different. So what I'm listing right here is just, the tropes that I've seen in these works. Now, with that being said, let's start. So for a Yankee or the delinquent, the common trope or common observation would be that they have blonde hair, even as in the description that I've read to you just a while ago. Blonde hair, right? And of course, this really differs not only in reality but in anime as well. I've seen different delinquent type of waifus who don't have blonde hair. Some of them have black, some of them have other sorts of colors, right? Of course, whatever the type of character design that it's that they have, it's just theirs. But commonly, it's blonde. Now, punk-ish, I don't know if that's a word. Punk-ish as in like their sort of mannerism, right? You see, or when you think of delinquent, you think of someone who is, I don't know, I guess rough. Yeah, kind of rough, I guess, in a way. And the way that they, speak, it has really that sort of, that different sort of accent, I suppose. And the different, phrases and types of words that they use. I'm sure you've all heard of the way delinquent waifus and even delinquent guys, husbandos, would speak and act in anime. So I guess in real life it's sort of similar. I can't really say for sure, but towards an anime perspective, you can clearly see a difference between the way a Yankee acts and the way a normal normal guy person is. They also have this sort of tomboyish vibe, which this is one of the good charms that I absolutely love within a Yankee type of waifu. Not only because of their toughness, but they're also this is not such a bad trope to have within this character. It's fun. It's people enjoy all sorts of combinations of different characters, personas, and even images within a waifu. And aside from the generic kinds, having a tomboyish type of character is not so bad after all. In fact, in real life, people also really love and love to enjoy someone who is a bit tomboyish per se. But as I said, this is all just observation, but it is still observed per se, you can say that. And hey, they got my way with this tomboyish character trope. It's equal, for instance, from the Hakone series Majestic. Now, scary, I say scary quote unquote because for whatever reason in anime, whenever they portray or whenever they animate, right, portray this delinquent character, they make her to act out as someone who's really scary, tough looking, and really scary for some reason. But the art is drawn so just so normally, right? Normally, in like they're looking at their facial expression, or not facial expression, but their character as a whole. You can think of them as a a normal person, but inject this personality, inject the voice acting lines, and inject the whole way that they act and they move. Then it changes their whole image as someone who is quote unquote scary. It's something that I really find odd, about. And to us, the viewers, it doesn't really appeal to us as scary. I don't know for you if you're really terrified of how these Yankees or Gyarus are depicted, but actually, yeah, Tokyo Revengers really did make me shiver a bit. But in terms of waifus, then it's the Gamo is still there despite that, so can't argue. Now, in terms of the way how they dress up, you have long jacket or the trench coat sort of thing, modified uniform, jersey jacket. I hope I got that correct. The jersey, long skirt, and you have also the mask. And they can fight or can handle fight. They're tough. I don't know. It really depends on the character, as I've said. Yankee waifus are tough and they can protect you. Just one of the things I also love about them. Now, for the Gyarus or the gal, of course, they also have the stereotypical blonde hairstyle. And just like a delinquent, this really depends on the character design and the person themselves. It really depends. There's assortment of colors, different hairstyles and hair colors towards a Gyaru, but the usual or typical, the stereotypical is blonde. They're really sociable, extroverted people. Really girly, girly, loves to follow the trends and the like. Popular as well, well known throughout the campus, sort of thing. In a, I don't know, depends on the good or bad, positive or negative light, as opposed to the delinquents who are often seen as stay away from this person as much as you can type, because or else he might beat you up type. I don't know, not popular, right? The loose school uniform, I keep air quoting, loose uniform, accessories, makeup, tanned, loose socks, wraps the sweater around their waist and all that. And they can tease, or they're really playful, Now, okay, I don't want to touch too deep on this subject, as I'm if you are familiar to the veteran weebs, if you are familiar with a gal or a gyaro, what they can do, if you know, in what they can act like in some tropes, then let's just leave it up to you to go further into this rabbit hole to see for yourself. But playful, yeah, sure. With differences also comes similarities. Now, of course, aside from the whole blonde hair ordeal and also the fact that it really depends on the character design, one thing is the difficulty in approach. Now, it is arguable, you can argue that this is really the same for almost, I guess every waifu in general, in one way or another. Take for instance the popular ice queen type of character trope, or the the super popular girl in class, whatnot. Now, it is true that they are difficult to approach, but if you take a look closely, right, the difficulty in approach really also has a big factor to which makes it what it is, and that is the factor of the type of main protagonist, the type of personality the MC in the narrative has. Now, chemistry with a normal, meek, studious, or quote-unquote loser type of MC also really reflects to how this narrative plays out, to how this protagonist can combine well, can really create some really fun times and fun stories with the Yankee or the Gal or Gyaru heroine. And I find this sort of narrative, this sort of idea and theme very interesting and very refreshing. Now I know that there are a lot already, right? A lot of manga works and animes that have this sort of pairing of a couple, right? But I still can't get enough of it, because there are also ways into which you're curious to see how they approach one another, how they make the relationship work, how they fix the holes in the relationship, and how they can advance further within their relationship. It's really just this sort of ladder that keeps on climbing, and with each time you go higher, you can find new ways and reflect on to how I've reached at this point. And just imagine a few weeks ago, this girl who I was dating, let's just say for instance, was actually a Yankee, or a gal who was really leagues away from mine. But it turns out that we really ended up together, and we're really happy together. That's a type of story that I find enjoyable. The challenges that go along its way, it's perfect. It's perfect. Okay, it's not that perfect, but it is something enjoyable to watch. Of course, you have the influence to and from the main protagonist, which can be found in their narratives and their storyline. And finally, you have the peak gap moe that you can find, especially towards the Yankees or the delinquent character waifu tropes. Gals, yeah, I can see that as well. But in my personal opinion, delinquents or Yankees, their gap moe is just amazing and beautiful to watch. So yeah, I guess that's about it. If you're looking for a good romance story, then look no further with trying out a romance story with a Yankee or a Gyaru as the main heroines, because I know you're gonna find it enjoyable as well. And if you think I've missed a similarity or a difference between a Yankee and a Gyaru, please feel free to leave a comment, to share your thoughts. I would love to hear them. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Take care, family.